The days are getting shorter, the weather a little bit colder, and there's snow in them there hills. But that doesn't mean we have to put away the bike just yet. Living in British Columbia affords me the opportunity to ride in and out of the snow line on certain days. Now, I'm not recommending that anybody try to tackle icy, frozen roads on two wheels, but in certain situations you may find yourself in conditions that are less than optimal. Less than optimal. This pretty much sums up winter in the Canadian Lower Mainland. A months-long wet season with bouts of snow and cold. December through January being the heaviest, where we can go for over a month without seeing the sun, and 28 days of straight rain. The coastal regions of the American Northwest and British Columbia are considered a rainforest, and here's why. North Vancouver receives an annual average of 252 centimeters, that's just over 8 feet of rain annually. It's only mid-November now, and we've already seen over 40 centimeters in the last 45 days. Now, putting things into perspective, London, England's annual rainfall is only 59.2 centimeters, while the wettest city in the United States, and I did have to look this up, is Mobile, Alabama. I think everybody knows where Mobile is, but for those of you who don't, it's on the Gulf of Mexico, about 157 miles south of...
You should go home to Greenbow, Alabama!
Okay, Mobile receives 67 inches of annual rain, or somewhere around 170 centimeters. To see more rain than North Vancouver does, you have to go all the way to Amazon. No, not that Amazon. This one. Iquitos City in Peru, located on the Amazon River. Iquitos sees 288 centimeters of annual rainfall, or close to 9.5 feet. So it's fair to say when we're talking about winter in Vancouver, Canada, it gets pretty wet up in here. Now, everybody's going to encounter rain at some point in time if they ride a motorcycle. So today on Rod Rides and Wrenches, we're going to run through some do's and don'ts about running in the rain and the odd patch of snow. Plus, we're going to try out some new rain gear that I just purchased. These Alpinestars Origin Drystar boots and this Nitric 2 H2O rain jacket by Rev'it. Additionally, I'm going to run through some preferred gear choices for all-weather riding and riding in the wet, as well as preparing your bike to run through the rain or your next big trip where most likely you are going to see some rain. If you're intimidated by riding in the rain, take a look at this cornering video we did a couple of weeks ago. There it is. Specifically on how to use your riding position to influence the bike and make it corner without having to put as much lean into it. Practicing this technique pays off when the road is more of a river than it is asphalt. Before we get started, I did want to thank you for tuning in and checking out my channel. If you're brand new here or haven't gotten around to it yet, please hit that subscribe button. And after you're finished this video, swing by the channel homepage and check out some other videos in the Rod Rides and Wrenches library. I'm pretty sure you're going to find something equally interesting and entertaining. So let's start with these brand new Alpinestars Drystar boots. What sold me on these boots was the fact that they use a side entry, since I'm not a big fan of pulling on boots. Additionally, the upper is flexible and adjustable. I've always had an issue with high boots since I have a larger than average calf. Most of my friends refer to these muscles as full-grown cows and not calves, but at 46 centimeters around, at the widest point, high boots can be an issue. The adjustable Velcro at the boot upper means that my calves can ride in comfort. The boot itself is all synthetic with no natural products in it. Now, you don't need a leather boot for wet weather riding, but Alpinestars does make a leather synthetic hybrid boot in the Drystar line if you prefer. The Drystar membrane that's in this boot allows the foot that's inside it to breathe without water getting in from the outside and soaking it wet. Now, every wet weather rider needs to understand the difference between membrane clothing like Drystar and conventional waterproof rain gear. A membrane system like Gore-Tex is trademarked, so other manufacturers have to come up with their own clever names like Drystar or D-Dry, H2 Out, plus there's a raft of other names out there. So here's a simplified version of what a waterproof membrane system is. You just need to envision a top layer of fabric, usually a synthetic or treated cotton, that's designed to deflect and disperse as much of the water hitting the garment as possible. Any water that penetrates to the next layer is at a reduced volume, thanks to that initial layer. The outside or top layer of fabric also must be breathable to allow trapped moisture to evaporate when it stops raining. The next layer is where all the fancy patents come in for the membrane. In this layer, there are angled channels woven into it. These channels allow things like moisture and your sweat to move out and escape from your clothing, while not allowing water to enter through from the outside and come in contact with your underclothing or skin. In principle, the channels are one-way valves and only allow venting from the inside out and resist passing water to the interior. How membranes wick moisture from your body is by using your own body heat to diffuse the moisture or sweat from the inside of your garment and let it pass through that angled channel. Engineering the use of diffusion in activating the channels in the membrane also help with regulating body temperature. And this is how garments can keep you warm in the cold while cool in the heat. All breathable clothing have limits to the amount of exterior water they can deflect away from these vent channels, so most manufacturers use multiple layers in construction with different and smaller channel vents, but at higher quantity per square inch in their construction. The higher end the garment, the more vent channels per square inch. The more expensive the gear, the more likely the membrane will differ from area to area, using a regional construction method to better vent the areas of your body where you sweat more. So remember, not all garments that use a membrane are of equal construction. Now, this may be an oversimplification in an explanation of what these materials do if you manufacture membranes or hold any patents, but I think you get the idea. Traditional rubber waterproof clothing does not use this sort of membrane technology. It just stops water regardless of the direction that it's traveling. 100% impermeable from the outside elements, but on the flip side, none of your perspiration can escape either. On cold, rainy days, you're basically basting in your own juices, and that can be worse than being soaked from the outside, since no airflow is getting into your clothing or your skin. The other big drawback to this sort of rain protection is in the seams. If a seam leaks, and this mainly happens at places like cuffs, zippers, your crotch area, then the water that gets in can't get back out and it just soaks into your undergarments. Nasty. Now back to these Alpinestars boots. Being designed by a motorcycle garment manufacturer, they are ready for the open road and come CE certified with both ankle and toe protection for motorcycling. Being brand new, I was a little bit concerned about the grip since the bottoms of the boots don't really have what I would call an aggressive tread. But in practical use, I didn't have any issues with traction on the road at all. The Origin Drystar boot performed as expected, that expectation being absolutely perfect. My feet were dry and comfortable after an hour and a half of riding on and off the highway in some pretty heavy rain on my Triumph Sprint 1050 GT. This bike has fairly limited protection from the elements, and I knew it would give the rainproof qualities of these boots a good workout. Other features in the boots are this accordion section in the front and back to allow it to flex and make walking easier, this reflective patch on the back of the boot, and this grippy shift pad section on the toe area to help with making solid shift movements. Opening the boot up, you can see that the bellows go well past the ankle, about halfway up to the top of the boot. The top 5 inches is where you could have water getting into the boot, but this design is meant to be used with a riding overpant that would cover this section. Now, I'm definitely recommending this boot, and since I've used Alpinestars footwear for the last few years, I can also vouch for their durability. If you're in the market for gear, I recently came across an online retailer that has some fantastic pricing on brand names like Alpinestars, HEB, Joe Rocket, and Tourmaster. With the holidays around the corner, don't forget to look after yourself and get what you want too. Team Motorcycle has a sale on right now where you can get an additional 15% off with coupon code BFCM. Just follow this link and the one in the video description to support the channel and get some gear for your next ride that'll keep you safe and warm. Team Motorcycle also has free shipping on orders over $69 and a 60-day return policy so you can shop with confidence. So next up is this Rev'it Nitric 2 H2O rain jacket. This jacket is a garment that's designed to be stowable and used over your existing protective riding gear when you're out on the road and caught in a rainstorm or a cloudburst. The jacket comes with a stuff sack that can be easily packed and carried, provided of course you can get it back into there. I was never that good at folding maps either. This is the second version of this jacket from Rev'it, and they recently released the Nitric 3 version, and this particular jacket was on clear out, so I thought for $111 Canadian, it was worthwhile to check it out, especially since I recently bought some Rev'it gloves and found the quality to be okay. I actually think the Nitric 2 looks better in the high vis as compared to the Nitric 3, since Rev'it changed the reflective pattern between jackets. This Nitric 2 H2O rain jacket has a single layer membrane technology called Hydratex Light to help dry your armored jacket underneath should it have already gotten wet if you're caught out in a cloudburst. The other upgrades this jacket saw versus the original were spring-loaded snaps, higher quality zip draw strings to pull it together at the bottom, and you probably noticed this is the high-vis version and it uses 3M reflective Scotchlite. 3M is the world leader in reflective and illumination technology. When riding in the dim light of a rainstorm, this is what you want to be wearing. The jacket has a Velcro waist belt and the aforementioned drawstrings, which is important for an over-rain jacket since you don't want it flapping around in the wind when you're out on the highway or if you're on a track day. Since it is designed to be worn over your current protective jacket, when purchasing gear like this, make sure that you get a big enough size to make getting it on and off easy, since no one wants to be wasting a lot of time in the rain on the side of the road trying to fit their gear on. The jacket has two snap stash pockets in the front and a Napoleon inner pocket for things like cell phones and wallets. Unfortunately, the front pockets with only the flaps and snaps are not waterproof, so don't put anything in there you don't want getting wet. The other issue I have with this jacket is the snap shut flap to cover the zipper. It's supposed to keep the water out, but it doesn't work that well when riding. An actual waterproof zipper would have been a much better option since the rain did soak through the jacket from the zipper. In the test I put the Rev'it jacket through, it didn't hold up as well as I would have liked. Water came through the zipper, and now I know that it was not done all the way up since I had been into the jacket to get my wallet out while getting gas and didn't get it secured all the way to the collar when I was back out riding. This being said, the water that came into the jacket came right from the center through the zipper. If this flap had been on the inside of the zipper, it would have probably done a better job. Look at the design of this BMW Motorrad over-rain jacket. It uses double protection around the zippers and stays dry. In all, the Rev'it Nitric 2 H2O jacket is a nice garment to have, especially if you're caught out in the rain. It's better than nothing, but I wouldn't want to trust it as my only piece of upper body rain gear. So I mentioned earlier how high-end motorcycle garments with membrane technology cannot just keep you dry, but also help regulate your body temperature when you ride. The absolute best garment that I have found are these BMW Tour Shell pants. They're armored and year-round comfortable, as I've ridden in them anywhere from 35 degrees to 0 degrees Celsius, and found them to be the best pant, rain or shine, that I've ever experienced. They are always warm and dry in the rain, while the UV protection and venting layer allows you to stay comfortable on hot sunny days. Along with my armored BMW Boulder jacket with zip-out waterproof membrane, or Street Guard jacket with fixed waterproof membrane, this BMW gear has literally replaced having to carry additional rain gear. Although the Boulder jacket has better waterproofing, it's not as warm as the Street Guard jacket. And while the Street Guard armored pants are not as warm as the Tour Shell pants. Confused? Don't be. BMW Motorrad actually stopped selling all these lines and replaced Tour Shell with Pace Dry Tour. That's the name you gotta remember. The Street Guard line was folded into the Boulder line, and now BMW Motorrad just calls this the Essential line. So that's the only other one you need to worry about. Now, BMW Motorrad riding gear is expensive, but it is well made and well worth it. Or at least that's my personal take on it. Other ways you can save money on BMW gear is to look for lightly used genuine product. Over the years, I've bought a few pieces of gear off eBay and have been very happy. Now there's a link in the video description where you can find some BMW gear at a great price too. eBay is also where most dealers will put their brand new but aged stock out on prices lower than they'll even sell it to you in their showrooms. Make sure it's genuine BMW gear though, and not a knockoff. Genuine BMW gear has European sizing and the interior labels that say BMW Motorrad. Now that we have a handle on gear, it's time to get ready to go out there and ride in the rain. One of the first things we need to do is get our clear visor mounted to our helmet. If you already have a pin lock visor, that's great. It'll help with fogging. But even pin locks can get foggy. So be sure to treat your visor with multiple layers of anti-fog. This Scott anti-fog is inexpensive and works well. You just spray it on and pat it dry, wait a few minutes and repeat. Every time you add an additional layer of anti-fog, the effectiveness increases. The anti-fog and pin lock visor offer a fog-free ride, at least on the inside of your helmet. Next, we're going to make sure that you stay as comfortable as possible on your ride. And comfort means staying warm, not just staying dry. So proper insulation like long underpants, long sleeve shirts are an absolute must. I have a few different sets and have found some of the most effective from Bombardier Recreational Products, or BRP. Designed for mountain snowmobiling, they offer an insulative layer without being bulky and have that membrane technology to get rid of your sweat. I also have one of the first insulation undergarments I ever purchased. This FXRG thermal turtleneck from Harley-Davidson is still one of my gear go-to pieces since it was made of quality construction and always keeps me warm. You don't have to get into specialty underwear to get the job done, however. You can probably find reasonable cold weather insulation from any workwear store. Just make sure it fits and doesn't ride up when you're in your riding position, and that it has that membrane technology to keep your skin dry. So next is to make sure that you have some waterproof riding gloves. These gloves have the best membrane available and therefore cost significantly more than, say, a standard glove does. Purpose-made cold and rain weather gloves also feature this nifty little addition. This piece of rubber on the left index finger can be a real asset when riding in the rain and the spray given off by other vehicles. If you're unfamiliar, it's a wiper for your visor to clear water away with the swipe of a finger. Now you can also purchase an overglove to go over your normal one when it starts to rain. But these are bulky and are just one more thing that you need to carry should it start to rain on your next trip. If you don't have a set of waterproof gloves or waterproof over gloves, then you can still manage at least for a couple of hours with this simple solution. A pair of neoprene rubber gloves to wear inside your standard riding glove. The upside is that a pair of these are dirt cheap, fit anywhere on your motorcycle, and can be used in other situations where you might need them. So they're a good idea to have with you, period. The downside is that they don't breathe and your fingers will become cold and pruny after just a couple of hours. Finally, you need to check over your bike. Make sure that all your lights are working, tire pressure is correct, and that you have a decent tread that isn't cupped with a flat spot. If your bike is a chain drive, when you finish your ride, be sure to wipe the water off of it and hit that chain with some lube. This will prevent it from getting rusty and corroding to the point where it can start to cause problems. As a recommendation for any riding in the late fall or winter or early spring, heck, I even use them on early mornings in the summer, heated grips are an accessory that are well worth the expense and effort. If you need some help installing heated grips, I put together a lengthy but thorough video series a year ago that will show anybody step by step how to install heated grips. Now, apologies in advance for the editing on those videos. This YouTube stuff is still pretty new to me. Now, once you're out on the street, you want to stay clear of large puddles, using the entire lane to pick your way through the shallowest spots. Control your speed and lean angle. There will be reduced points of grip on the wet road, so you'll want to extend your braking zones and reduce the urge to lean the bike hard into corners. When following traffic, be aware of vehicles that have snow on their roofs, back windows, or bumpers. This snow will come off in sheets, particularly after the vehicle stops at a traffic light or accelerates on the highway. You want to avoid these cars and trucks since a big lump of heavy wet snow is no fun to ride over. Leave additional space around your motorcycle since it'll take longer distances for any vehicle behind you to stop on the wet road. Combined with darker cloud cover, fog, or low sun in the horizon glaring through dirty car windshields, take additional vigilance when riding in winter to think for the drivers around you and how they may react to you in traffic. Don't forget to check out more on riding in the rain in my cornering video. And in it, we make some helpful recommendations on getting you some professional training to build your confidence on the road or on the track. Until next time, be sure to ride safe. And if you have any personal rain or cold weather riding tips that you'd like to share with the community, be sure to put it in the comments section.